before he became a symbol of courage and leadership, before his face was carved on Mount Rushmore. Abraham Lincoln was just a poor boy in a wooden cabin, born in the cold hills of Kentucky in 1809. He wasn't born into comfort. His family was poor, very poor. His father, Thomas Lincoln, worked hard with his hands. His mother, Nancy, was kind and gentle, but life was harsh. When Abe was just 9 years old, tragedy struck. His mother died. And for a little boy who barely understood the world, that moment shattered him. But even in that pain, something began to grow inside him, a quiet strength, a hunger to rise. They say hardship builds character. For Lincoln, hardship was the only teacher he had. He loved to read, but books were rare. So he would borrow them from neighbors, walking miles barefoot, just to read by the dim light of a fireplace. He taught himself math, grammar, and law all on his own. No fancy schools, no mentors. Just a mind that refused to quit. People around him thought he was strange, too quiet, too curious. But Abe had something they didn't see, a dream. A dream that no matter where he started, he could become something more. That boy, in that little cabin, had no idea that one day, his words would move a nation. Pause, gentle swell in background music. Remember this, greatness doesn't begin in luxury. It begins in the struggle. And Lincoln's struggle was just beginning. Lincoln grew into a tall, awkward young man, hardworking, honest, but broke. He tried business and failed. He joined the army and never saw battle. He tried law and barely made a living. He fell in love and lost her. He ran for office and was crushed. He failed again and again and again. In fact, by the time he was 40, Lincoln had faced more defeats than most people see in a lifetime. But here's what made him different. He never stopped trying. He once said, "My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure." Failure didn't define him, it refined him. He used every setback as a lesson. He learned to speak better, to think deeper, to understand people's pain. He knew what it meant to lose, and that's why he never wanted others to feel small. Slowly, people began to notice him. They saw his honesty, his humility, his strange mix of humor and sadness that made people trust him. And in that trust, Lincoln found his path. Politics wasn't about power for him, it was about purpose. He wanted to make life better for people like the ones he grew up with. Softer music, emotional tone, but the higher he climbed, the heavier the burden became. America was changing and not in peace. Slavery, division, hate, the country was tearing apart. And Lincoln was about to step into the storm. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln, the boy from the log cabin, became President of the United States. For millions, it was hope. For others, it was fear. Within months, war broke out. The nation he loved was falling apart. Brothers fought brothers. Families divided. The Civil War was not just a battle for land, it was a battle for the soul of America. And at the center of it all was Lincoln. Every day, he carried the weight of thousands of deaths on his shoulders. He read letters from mothers who lost their sons, soldiers who begged for peace. And yet, he could not stop, because he believed that even through pain, through loss, through unimaginable suffering, freedom had to win. People called him weak. They mocked him. They hated him. But he never answered with anger. He answered with patience, with faith, and with the belief that right would triumph in the end. Then came his greatest act, the Emancipation Proclamation. With a few strokes of his pen, Lincoln declared that every slave in the Confederate States was free. He turned the war into a fight for humanity. That decision changed history, but it also made him more enemies. Still, he stood firm. Because when you stand for something bigger than yourself, you're no longer afraid to lose everything. April 1865. The war was finally ending. Peace was near. Lincoln's dream was within reach. He had held the Union together. He had given freedom to millions. And just when the nation began to breathe again, tragedy struck. At Ford's Theater, Abraham Lincoln was shot by an assassin. He died the next morning. The country wept like never before. But his story didn't end there, because you can't kill a dream. You can't silence a legacy built on courage and compassion. Lincoln's life teaches us something simple yet powerful. You don't need perfect beginnings to create a lasting legacy. You don't need wealth, luck, or status. All you need is belief. Belief that every failure can shape your destiny. Belief that even when life breaks you, you can rise again. Music swells, emotional crescendo. From a log cabin in Kentucky to the White House in Washington, from failure after failure to becoming one of the greatest leaders in history, Abraham Lincoln proved one truth: you can fall 1,000 times, but if you rise one more time, you win.